Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. It is Carrie, the chemist here, and today I'm going to talk about how financial education has helped me to achieve certain milestone in my life. And with regards to knowing about finances, I didn't start my journey knowing anything about money. I know you work for money, I know you saved money, but as for investment, it wasn't something that we practiced or that was passed on from my parents, so it wasn't something that you talked about with friends or family or anything like that. So when I started my journey into pharmacy, studying pharmacy, practicing pharmacy, when I started my journey in Canada, I quickly realized that working and saving was not going to work in this type of economy. This culture is totally different. It's more of a credit system. So I went in search of knowledge. I went in search of information in order to change my life and change the way how I handled my finances. So while I was doing my research, I came up on Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is a finance guru, as we call him, and he talks about debt. So while I was on my journey, I was listening to other people. I was listening to Reverend Ike, who is a black pastor, and he feels strongly about money and being rich down here and not dying and go to heaven to walk on the street of gold. So that kind of changed my mindset and opened the door for me to start exploring more about financial education. So while I'm listening to Dave Ramsey and listening to Pastor Ike and getting all this information, I keep hearing other black people like myself saying, okay, Dave Ramsey method is not for them. But there's one thing that I've learned about finances while I've been doing this journey is that money doesn't have any color. It doesn't care if it's not racist, it doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're white, it doesn't matter if you're Chinese, Asian, whatever, Indian. Money, when it comes to money, there is only poor and rich, right? And in this economy, the things that Dave Ramsey, the 7 steps that Dave Ramsey teaches, it helps you to not become a slave to the system. It helps you to manage your money. It helps you to do the things that you need to do in order to succeed financially. So let me set that part of it straight, that it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what your race is. The rules of money applies to everyone. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're earning minimum wage or if you're earning 6 figures per month, per year. It comes down to certain principles, and if you follow these principles, which is what these 7 steps are based on, then you will succeed regardless of the color of your skin. So I'm going to go over the 7 steps and tell you how I use them to help me So as I said, when I just started my journey, I was working in corporate. I was focusing on getting a vehicle. So I wanted transport to go to and from work. When you're new to the system and when you just start earning money, you're all excited. Your focus is on to get the nice car, to get the nice house. So my focus at that point was to get a nice car. So I got a new car for that year, and I was doing my car payment. And then I got into the car payment loop where I was changing my car every 3 years. And then I quickly realized that, hey, this doesn't benefit me, it benefits the car company. So I changed my strategy, changed my focus, changed my mindset, and then I started this is where my journey kind of kick-started. Then I started understanding about credit card. I always understood credit card from Jamaica. I never had a credit card in Jamaica. When I came here, the option was to get a credit card where you would put money on the card and then you use that money. So it's like a prepaid card. So that worked for me in that time because I wasn't in debt. I was able to build my credit, but using a card that limited me to what funds I had. So that was good. I wasn't falling into that trap. And I've learned that from early, and it came to be a good thing when I started learning from Dave Ramsey about it. But I have family members who have gone down this road, so I am familiar with the debt trap, the store cards, the credit card debt that just keeps growing and growing until it gets out of control. And I think this is what Dave is trying to warn us about. Like, he was able to build his empire when he was selling cars. Not selling cars, he was doing houses, and he got a loan and he was in debt to the bank. And he used that experience to build this thing. So he knows what it is like to be in debt and not be able to provide for your family, and being indebted to being a slave to the system because you're indebted to the bank. So this is where this came from. If you listen to his story, you will understand that he's just trying to tell you that I have been there and this is how I got out of it. And he created this system, and it is something that you can use. Like, you can take away and add. You don't have to do the steps exactly as they are, but they are a good guide. Okay? So paying off debt. Why do you want to pay off debt? Debt is it is a great burden when you have credit card debt, especially if it's consumer debt. What we call consumer debt is student loan, credit card, car notes, mortgage. Mortgage is not so bad, but it is still a consumer debt. So the things that we buy every day and we put on the credit card, and then we don't pay it off because life happens, and then it accumulates. These are just little debts, and they never go away until you focus on getting rid of them and stop the continuous cycle of debt. So this is one thing that we learned from this program, to pay off debt. And he always talks about the snowball method, because you start with the smaller cards, the smaller balances, pay them off, and then you move on. And because it's an emotional thing more than a logical thing, because you feel that sense of achievement each time you pay off a card. So if it's a $500 card and you pay it off, you get to that goal a bit faster, and you get that dopamine feeling, that feeling of achievement. That's the purpose of doing the snowball method. that's the one that is more practical, and that is why he tends to encourage us to do that one. The avalanche method is the other one, and that is more of a paying off the one with the biggest interest balance or the biggest balance overall, and then you save more money, yes, but it takes longer to pay off the bigger ones. Okay, then we talk about saving an emergency fund is crucial. Like we started off with $1,000 just as a filler, but then in step 3 you want to focus on really putting down a substantial amount, which is 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So if you know every month you get $5,000 and you spend $5,000, that's what you will consider as your monthly expense, and then you would try to save 3 months of that and put it into a bank where you can easily access it in case of an emergency, in case of a job loss, in case of the roof needs fixing, in case of your car needs tires, like those that are what we call emergency. Then we look at investing. Investing is not a very common practice amongst the Black community. So I think that is where a lot of us kind of get frustrated with Dave Ramsey system. But investing is the only way that you can save for future plans. It's the only way that you can save for retirement. It's the only way you can save for buying a house. You can't just save your money, because when you save your money, it loses value. So if you put $500 a month or $200 a month into the bank, at the end of a year, it will only be 2 times 12, which is $2,400. That is just that. You won't get it compounding, you won't get that interest rate that you would get. When you invest your money, you get 10% on top of what you put in. And that is why we encourage investing. Investing means that you have ownership. Investing is something that we all should do, because it is what makes the financial world goes around, right? Even when you put your money into savings account, the bank turns around, use your money, lend it out, and give you 0.1% of that what they make from your money. So be comfortable with investments. There is nobody out there who should not be investing. It is easier now more than ever. There are different apps that you can use. You can go into the bank, sit and talk to people who can help you to open an investing account. It is not difficult. It is an everyday thing, and there is one group of people who are doing it, who are comfortable doing it, and Dave is just saying, hey, this is a way to do it. It has nothing to do with if you go to Italy and they say, this is how we do it here, this is how we build a building here, you should listen to the man who lives there and who is building a building there. So if I come to America and Dave Ramsey come and say, this is how you build wealth, this is how you manage your money, I'm not going to tell him that, no, this is how I do it in Jamaica, so I'm going to continue to do it how I do it in Jamaica. No, I'm going to listen to what he says. I'm going to try to do what he says and prove the system, whether it, try it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I can justify it. But don't just look at it and say, oh, it won't work. Try it first, and if it doesn't work, then you can tweak it a bit to adjust to your situation. because, as I said, money doesn't have any colors, it doesn't have any prejudice. It's like rich or poor, and these are principles that you have to follow in order to be successful. Then it talks about children's fund. So for those of us who have children, this is just something that we provide a legacy for our children. We know that the child is going to be 18 when they're born, and we're focusing on all the nonsense things like baby showers and parties and birthday gifts and Christmas gifts. And by the time the child is 18, we still don't have $10,000 to hand to them to say, here, go ahead and start life. So this is something that we should be aware of and be mindful of. And these are just things that he has here, which is just common sense things. And then it says to pay off your home early. So most of us have like a 30-year mortgage. In this states, I think you guys get back some money, like you get back money when you have your mortgages. Here is different in Canada. We don't really get back any money. So paying off your house sooner, you pay less interest rate. You have less burden when you're going towards retirement. So it is something that benefits you if you pay off your house earlier, and then you have less bills to pay when you get older. So these are common sense things. I don't see why people wouldn't want to do this. And then it says build wealth and give. So after you get rid of your debt, after you pay off your mortgage, you are left with significant amount of money, so that now you can do your tithes, you can give charity, you can help other people, right? So these are 7 common sense things that uses money management principles. Money is a tool. Debt is a tool, and we can't constantly be getting into debt and expecting to achieve anything. So these are the 7 steps. And if you go online, you can find this online, and I keep this in my finance folder, and just as a little guide to every now and then I check in to see where I am in the steps. But it is not like one size fits all. Everybody has their own situation, but just be mindful that there are certain things that take away from us, and we have to be mindful of the principles of money and how to manage our money in order to get the full benefit of whatever income is coming in. So a popular proverb that I like that Dave also uses is, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. And this is from Proverbs 22 verse 7. So I like to stick this on my wall, right, or put it in my little budget book, so every time I look at it, I can remember that debt is modern day slavery, right? And if you jump from student loan to credit card to car loan to mortgage, you will spend your entire life paying off debts. And you have to strike a balance. You have to have that portion that goes to your savings, that portion that goes to your investment, and that can be used for your generational wealth and for pass on to your kids, so that you have a legacy to pass on to them. So this is all I have to say about Dave Ramsey's 7 steps. It is not just Dave Ramsey that uses these. Every finance person who you read about, they pretty much have a system. So there are principles of money that once you understand how to pay yourself first, how to manage your debts, how to have a budget, have a system, how to invest. These are things that you do. Any financial person will tell you these things, and that is how you will become more financially independent and stable to build your wealth and be happy and free. Okay, thank you for watching, guys. Have a good day. Bless.